So welcome to the PM Hive Podcast. This is episode 12. We got another really awesome special guest today. My name is Kasey, one of your hosts. And I kind of want to hand it off to you, Ryan, and just give you a quick round of introductions for yourself, and then we'll kind of get started from there. So please definitely kind of tell everyone about who you are, what you've been working with. And I'm sure everyone in the city, some folks probably already know your name. So leave it to you.
Thanks, Kasey. Ryan Smith. I come in many forms and lifetimes. People have kind of known me over the years in different hats. The current hats, I have three main relationships or activities. One is I'm delivering workshops and courses. David Gerton and 0 to 1 events. We run a AI for PM course at Northeastern. And then I have a good friend at Emily Carr, Hey Garmin, who brought me in for creating a design startup course, 4th-year course at Emily Carr University. And this May, I'll be at the Center for Digital Media, their graduate program on another course I'm involved in at CDM. So that's teaching life. Product life, I'm a fractional head of product through my own company, Smith Horn Group. Those two have been great feeders to also get back to building. And so I've also been building SkillSmith, a skills intelligence product for agents. That's the awesome. TLDR on current state.
So mind if I quickly ask you, like, what proportion of your time do you get dedicated to all three fractions?
Yeah, it's a blur. And honestly, just being asked that question, I'm questioning my time allocation.
Yeah.
But typically Mondays, most of like Wednesday, Thursday, and a little bit of Friday, I'm focusing more on the teaching and workshops. It's the highest load in terms of time.
Yeah.
And then a day and a half, 2 days a week, depending on the week, sometimes 4 days a week, it's the fractional head of product work. And then the building is any other minute I get. I get up like sometimes early, I put my daughter to bed, and I'm back at my laptop. If I can get 4 hours on the weekend, I'm so happy. And so then like all three end up blurring over 7 days.
Wow. That's insane. And obviously incredibly impressive that you're kind of managing all three at the same time. So I kind of want to dig into just a little bit about your background and to set the premise for the entire conversation today. Do you mind walking through, you don't have to go through a really mass kind of like, chronological story, but just like gonna walk us through on like your background, your product career and so far.
I'll give you the TLDR and like you asked me. And so
sounds good.
Cole's notes. I did a physics degree at UVic. I went through the co-op program, which is modeled after Waterloo. And so UVic doesn't get the hype it deserves, but it's got an incredible co-op program, very pragmatic, a lot of blend to getting students working while they're studying. So they were very early to that. That got me into like C++ and Java and Fortran and Pascal, like while doing physics. And then I got to work in that area for a bit. Quite a large project at Stanford. And then I graduated in 2001. So I have a lot of empathy for everyone graduating right now, where it feels like system collapse. So after Stanford, I came back to Vancouver. It was the .bomb era. No one was hiring a physics grad. I did find work in project management, like marketing, analytics, some business analyst work. And so I did a lot of that, like basically odd jobs, created my own little company and started invoicing at like 23 out of necessity.
Wow.
So technical, no full-time work, just started working in like projects and meeting people.
Early 2000s, right?
Yeah, like 2003, 4, 5, basically all the way up until about 2008 or so. I got known a little bit for doing like CRM work. I did some work at the Vancouver Symphony. They were bringing in a new CRM, and I worked on that whole like platform. They were on like an Access database. I worked at UBC for 6 years. By that time, I was doing a fair amount of development, like fundraising, but more institutional level. We brought in Blackbaud CRM and Tableau. So I paired with another PhD to build Tableau into UBC's fundraising effort.
Wow.
Had a 6-month secondment as a business analyst while doing the development work. And it was really at the end of that phase where I wanted to get out of professional services. Someone else had a job and I was the one to do it, into founder mode. So I got into the MBA program at UBC, took all the product courses, and that helped me bring a bunch of pieces together as a PM. What am I doing? What are the frameworks? And launched a company. not just a company, but a computer vision and deep learning company
Yeah.
in 2014, which I ran for 6 years.
Wow.
Raised $3.5 million, went pretty far, enterprise partners. It was great. And then the pandemic hit. Our round collapsed. A whole bunch of things collapsed. So I don't want to just say it on the pandemic. Fortunately, a GM at Shopify was on our advisory board, meeting me for coffee, introduced me to Corp Dev. And Corp Dev at Shopify was like, it's too much of a vertical. We're really looking for horizontal plays right now. Oh, and there's a pandemic going on. Can you help?
Yeah.
And so I joined them as a product lead, and I can talk about that, followed by a hedge fund, mostly of ex-Shopify people. And then it was 2023, just to round this out, that tech layoffs were rolling through. I felt like I was 23 all over again, and just like incorporated a company and started to engage people on fractional head of product work.
Wow.
So it's 3 years almost to the day I've been solo, selling my wares and building along the way.
Wow. So, okay. So I know this might take us off the rails for the first time throughout this entire hour-long conversation, but just, I got a quick question. Do you have kind of like a TLDR description of differences between the dot-com boom or the bubble burst and then the 08 crash and then now the 2023 to 2025 kind of like tech layoff AI wave crash that we've seen?
There's a distinct pattern of like demand outstripping supply, frothiness, unsophisticated buyers shoving more capital in, or buyers like signing up for things that they don't understand. Like in like 97 to 99, any company making a website was like throwing cash into it, not knowing if it was going to be a platform or a big player or not. And so just like casino throwing cash on the table. That was the energy. And then the bubble popped. Everyone's getting their money out, lots of bankruptcies, and then everyone running away from the tables. 08, same kind of thing, like SMBs, these like bundled debts that were kind of sold off, not understanding the product type or the liability.
Yeah.
And then you get a couple calls on those, can't pay, and same thing. 2008 financial crisis. Then I would say 2021, 22 was the end of the cheap debt. So a lot of companies could go and get an extra $1 billion on a couple percent.
And they start hiring like crazy, right?
Hiring like crazy. Meta, probably most known for this, just like billions of dollars to hoover talent from the market as a competitive hedge against other companies. So if you're hiring up the best talent, other companies aren't getting it. So like all the FANG companies started doing that. Basically 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, cheap money was available. Interest rates and inflation broke that and broke hedge funds where I was at the time. And you have to start just selling everything off and laying off. And we're on the recovery right now, except most people don't have a good mental model for how many people do I need and in what roles. So I think in the next 12 to 24 months, executive, especially HR, will get the head around job descriptions and what they need the humans for while they're getting more outputs from AI. And so we're going to like get through that pretty quickly now that we're in 2026.
Wow. So that's actually a very, very profound description and way to say that. And I think even for me, for myself, I haven't really gotten to like, I was only like 14, 15 when the financial crisis was happening. So luckily for me, I didn't have to deal with all of that stuff. My parents obviously did. Wanted to quickly ask you, and this is like, I think maybe something we should touch on a little bit earlier on the pod, and then maybe we can go back again later on the pod after I dig into your history. But just first and foremost, what really is driving you to host these courses and workshops right now, especially partnering with Northeastern, and kind of what can people really take away from your Claude Code courses?
Yeah, there's something about like being a boxer who's got hit in the face a lot of times that you just want to help other people not get hit in the face. And you see this from like a lot of people at a certain age. They're like, how can I reduce other people's pain? Because that is like cathartic.
Yeah.
And so wherever I get an opportunity to teach and mentor, like anyone who's done any teaching, it's meaningful in a spiritual way. I feel on purpose. I feel like I can do something, and someone immediately gets value and is thrilled and grateful. And I walk away feeling, oh, I did something good today. 100% that at the root. And then the other parts are, we're in Canada. We're in an economic war. There's a hegemon next to us.
Yep.
It's been going on for a lot of years. It hasn't just started, but now it's just out in the open. China does this, Russia does this, like other countries have done this. It's just like Canada has been a middle power who's mostly like been hewers of wood and drawers of water and sold raw goods and then bought back value goods, value added goods. And so now that the gloves are off, it's great. Now we can be more honest with ourselves and stop shipping raw goods, start creating value added goods. And that requires training.
Right.
All business leaders have to like mechanically shift their business model, pricing, and how much risk they're going to take on.
Right.
Likely more risk. Stop shipping gears. Start shipping like systems or the parts of other parts.
Of real value too, right?
Yeah. Wood chairs, finished chairs, like table sets, software, not just the component, but the whole software.
Right.
Like how do we get to like checkout?
Right.
Like, and so that layer, I'm really interested in training.
I see.
Having done all the soup to nuts myself. And so a lot of my best conversations are with CTOs and like the leadership trying to figure out how much risk they can take on. And it's a great place to be as a PM.
For sure. 100%.
Like to be asked that question is then like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Now I'm into product strategy, which we all feel is like the more meaningful conversation, like teaching.
I think I guess from an angle of PM, and then also just an angle of generalism, is that delta of skill training and knowledge that we're now trying to close the gap for, right? Is something that you're probably witnessing before your eyes while you're teaching all these techniques and obviously like a lot of the product development methodologies that I think a lot of people now have been able to really climb the skill learning curve for because of AI as an enabler as such. Is that maybe like a relatively accurate way to describe it?
It helps. There's definitely the like fear driver. Like, I might be cooked, really cooked now. I knew I was fragile and now I might be cooked. And it looks like there's a path through. And so now I can let go of the first branch to go grab the second, feeling like it's a thing I can grab onto. And I'm, as like a leader, I'm responsible for everyone that reports to me, like my shareholders, my customers. I feel very responsible. So for me as a leader to make a major change, I have to feel really confident before I let go of the first branch and grab the second one. Sorry to switch analogies here, but like now we're in trees, jumping from a burning tree onto the next tree.
Right.
We got to get out.
Right. And I guess based on that kind of analogy here, and just kind of for your context, I write like newsletters for PM Hive. We got around like maybe 3,000-ish readers per month. Right. A lot of people have been inquiring on like the next newsletter be like, what does AI really entail for a lot of product managers nowadays? And what's AI's current role now in the technological space, right? Like not just in terms of PM, but in all product builders. I'm seeing a lot of startups and adopt the product builder mentality where everyone has to understand how Claude Code works. And I'm seeing like the kind of concept of product builder really come to light rather than just be a PM behind the scenes all the time and focus all the time on strategy, where you need to have your hands dirty in the actual AI pile. So I guess maybe that really kind of adds to your analogy there. Like definitely being prepared so that like when the trees start burning, like you're really prepared, you have the fire hose ready. But also like, I guess it's more so, and to me, like, I don't know, maybe this might be a little bit different for you, but I see this as a whole industrial revolution 4.0.
Absolutely.
Where I think like, obviously some folks, their skill sets will still matter a lot. They can't be replaced. Some others definitely want to adopt and kind of recompromise a little bit in terms of like what they can do with AI. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, like we're prognosticating over something like the fire is in play and it's really hard to tell where to move. Definitely the role is splitting into two. I wouldn't be surprised if it's split into three. In product, we had the like Procter & Gamble style brand manager as like the origin. Over time, that became the person responsible in a software company for like a software division, like a mini GM. People say the mini CEO. I think the GM is actually closer. Like you have a division, it has a product line, one or more product lines, and you're responsible for it. And that was like old management style. Be responsible was the manager part. And somewhere along the lines, it got split into project management. Sprint planning, Scrum, tickets, working with the engineering manager. And that was like just going too deep. That was too deep in the process in the first place. A lot of people saw that whenever I hear a team has like a product owner and I listen to the product manager and they're talking about tickets, I'm really worried because it's very mechanical.
It's very mechanical, yeah.
So fortunately, I think those tasks are getting automated fast.
Yeah.
Low value anyway, high cost person. So you're putting a lot of money to get like a necessary part of the cost function to ship your software or hardware. And so it's repurposed the PM. And this is Marty Kagan's thing, is like, actually, we're moving back to product strategy.
It is.
The brand manager, the GM is what we need. And they need to be like quite detailed with like, understand all the risks, build it out themselves. Get your hand on the shampoo bottle. Is this one I want to sell? Is it the right color?
That's a perfect analogy.
Feel it, right?
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, I think this is the one that's going to sell 1 million this year, and have that conviction, and then go to your leadership and your team and external stakeholders and be like, I think we got it because I've done it. I've held the bottle or the software. I've used it. And so the product builder, once you get that kinesthetic feel, it's like, F yes, right? I have conviction instead of I'm managing tickets and I'm actually reliant on the engineering lead.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's a
100%.
weak position. And now we're in an opportunity to make a strong position again.
100%. I got another question for you, but before that, I just kind of wanted to tell you, like, we had someone at the PM Hive community. They actually asked me. They were a product owner for around like maybe 5 or 6 years, in this very relatively non-tech forward company, but still a product owner role.
Yep.
And they had that exact same question. They were like, I just watched a video of a connector and MCP and Claude just write a ticket because it's connected to linear with one prompt, and it can write a ticket better than I can as long as you provide the template and the skill for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I do that every day. Like, I don't really write tickets. I actually write tickets through Claude now because of all the MCP
I'll burn
connectors
through
I have.
like maybe 1,000 tickets a day.
Yeah.
Just it's not a value added task.
It's not. And as bigger the context window gets, it has access to your entire backlog, and it can help you prioritize and everything. And as long
and it has on verbose for all your ticket writing, and it's incredible.
It's incredible. So the question was like, what the heck is my role? Right. And then I was like, I think to your point, what you're already really touching on is having to expand and be a little bit more open-minded and expand your skill set a little bit to be not that of a product owner, but really a product strategist. I think I read that same article from Marty Kagan that you're describing there,
right?
Where it's like you have to kind of go back to the strategy basics, because that's really kind of like where a PM really shines too. And obviously, I think as skill develops and experience compounds, the more you get better at strategy too. So anyways, I just kind of wanted to touch on that point there. It's like 100% super interesting. And the more I think you take courses like yours, like when you get the more fundamental and foundational knowledge of how AI tools work, I think the better strategist you can also become, because you automate all the I guess mundane stuff, right?
Yeah. There's a fellow at Adobe, he's just left, Nico Latti, who is part of the Substance team, formerly Algorithmic. It's one of the big strategic acquisitions at Adobe. And he had this phrase about product management used to be a late career reward. And because of the growth of software in the last 20 years, especially, we've sort of like grabbed anyone willing. So have an undergrad degree from a good school or have a recent MBA and throw them into a product management role, and off they go, with fairly little training aside from that. But for that like GM who's responsible for the business and knows the P&L and like can go through design and all the mock-ups and like assess, is this one I want to go to market with or not? And go through engineering and how are they thinking and are they confident or not? And what have they done to prove like the robustness? And then make it like a go, no-go decision. Right? That would, like if you were to say it's a general manager, you would expect that.
Right.
And the GM's got to then go to a board meeting and be like, I've got this. And if there's any holes in it, everyone's going to see that.
Right.
But if you're 25 and a PM responsible for a division of like, 10 million or 50 million in revenue, you just don't have that experience set yet.
Right.
And like there are companies that have had great APM programs or mentors, or like I had like a buddy when I joined Shopify. It was like similar in age, a couple further years ahead, had more of the Shopify context.
Yeah.
And it just helped ramp me up and also help find some gaps that I had. And so if you get into like buddy systems, peer networks, and like people that are like 2 levels above you, it's like playing tennis. You start to very quickly find the weak spots, and then they are helping you get better, instead of it being like I did an MBA or an undergrad, or I'm at Meta, so I must know everything.
Yeah,
It's like,
100%.
there's no way. Whereas a lot
No
of
way.
product roles actually need to be like continuous towards the strategy and sitting in front of the board.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I'm actually kind of pissed off about is when I started my career at Microsoft, this was the pre-GPT era, right?
Okay.
And like I took so long to really fully ramp up. And even like after 2 years when I departed, I felt like I didn't fully grasp like everything end to end, the domain expertise that was needed of me for the role. And I was like thinking to myself, like in retrospect, I was like, wow, like if I had all these GPTs around me, like onboarding would have been much more easier than having to write like a 50-pager doc of all the acronyms and abbreviations that Microsoft uses for the Bing search platform.
Right.
So like, yeah, I
So
have these
when
thoughts
you
all the
started,
time.
there was like a light onboarding, like 2 weeks, and then
Yeah.
off you go.
And off you go. And I feel like obviously they would give you the time and the resources to really ramp yourself up.
Right.
But the problem with that is that like people's capacity, you're fighting for that. And that knowledge is like all stuck in their heads. Documentation and knowledge bases are fragmented so that you're going from one thing and then you look at another thing and it's contrasting what you just read. So like you're questioning everything again and then you're having to go on and one-on-one and ask about it. And then just the influx of all these like different abbreviations and acronyms that people are throwing around because they've been there for 15, 20 years because it's Microsoft, it was a bit of it was daunting. So anyways, I think that, you know, this is a very big aside because it's kind of not relevant to our conversation, but like I wish I had access to like all these connectors, all this stuff that nowadays just makes it so much easier.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be a lot easier, isn't it? Because you can just ask, and if the AI has access to the systems, then you can convert it into material for whatever you don't know. So you've got a personal professor on the knowledge base at all times.
Yeah.
Incredible. So now people are, like, and we're seeing this in our courses, putting more attention on like the critical thinking, critical reasoning, anti-bias training. Like, how am I actually phrasing the questions? Because it's going to give me an output.
Yeah.
So I have to keep asking better questions. And now I need like I think the human mentorship to figure out the judgment and reasoning.
Yeah.
And so like you, I had like 9 months. My director at Shopify who hired me said, think 9 months of onboarding. That's about how long it takes to meet enough people and figure out who to call to get context on the problem area or the part of the platform and like what this part of the platform does. And I was like, wow, that's a long onboarding.
Yeah.
And the pandemic was going on. And very quickly there was like a reorg and then another reorg. And I had like 4 reorgs in about 24 months.
Oh, shit.
And every time it's like, there's just no way to get up to speed.
Yeah.
But the pressure was cranking up and the
man.
company was going through hockey stick growth. So it's like, how do you get through this? There's no way to get through it programmatically. And PMs figure this out. Like that stakeholder management is actually like 75% of the job. So then you have to figure out how to get the other 25% of the job done. A lot of people end up working evenings and weekends and putting in 60, 70-hour weeks because they can't get it all done Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
And I hope we're in a phase now where I can distill a lot of that evening and weekend time into like more personalized AI conversations.
I feel like that type of experience you're describing with the 24 months, like I think is something maybe relative to, like obviously I think it's relative to a lot of experiences, but definitely startups too, right? Like where startups pivot all the time and they're going through that hockey stick growth.
Yeah, yeah.
I had another kind of question for you. Actually, you know what's funny is I think I saw your demo at Unblocked, the Claude Code meetup.
Right.
I didn't get a chance to chat with you because I think you had to leave right after, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was pitching 2 that night, one at the Launch Academy and one at the Claude Code event.
Same night?
Same night, yeah.
Same
so
night.
I busted it out of that one to go demo to the other one.
Man, and I think you were like coughing up a cold that time too, right? Oh man. Which is probably the reason why you were like, I got to get my value in and I got to leave. Like,
yeah, there's a bit of that.
100%. But yeah, if you don't mind me like kind of touching on like SkillSmith a little bit and like what you were demoing there, and what you've been working on there, like kind of if you're able to describe like I guess TLDR or just like even like a deep dive of like what that is.
Following from this last piece, thinking about how can I pair with an AI, a large language model, and some additional tooling around it to help me learn fast and then get things done more consistently. I think that's like the productivity piece much like the economic piece and the business leadership piece and like my function as a product manager, I'm responsible and now I need to get a bunch of these jobs done. So I just want to frame it that way. And through the fall, I got sort of deeper and deeper into the layers of architecting agent systems. I really liked what was happening with file management, folders for everything, markdown files, and how good I could write code with good specs. And so I'm in the like spec-driven development model of like AI right now.
Yeah.
And one of the layers that was starting to get pulled out through kind of like summer, fall is stuff that people had in prompt engineering.
Yeah.
Like the 4 years ago prompt engineering would have just been like some like big file or maybe like a couple files.
Yeah.
And I think a bunch of that kind of got unbundled as a mental model. And so in November, Anthropic published a protocol for skills.
Yeah.
And what I really liked about the protocol was that the agent file is about what the agent's role is, what it should do, what permissions it has, like read and write, what tools it should access.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of splitting apart how to use those tools.
Yeah.
Because if you end up with long agent files, like a long Claude MD or long agent MD file or cursor rules, whatever platform you're using, you're shoving that into the context window every time.
Right.
And you very quickly end up with little context and it's compacting.
You're wasting that space.
Yes. And that kind of takes us back to like 2017 to 2022 when we were doing all this prompt engineering.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I get the most words in for the most context without filling the context window?
With like a limited GPT, with limited context windows.
Yeah. And then people are like, oh, we're going to get like million token context windows. And it's like, that's fine, but it's a little bit of marketing. What I actually need is to like separate the concerns.
Not to mention the compute cost, right?
The compute costs. Every time you like get a big context window and it's like shoved into the API, like you're burning real fast.
Yeah.
So to separate a skill MD file is really interesting because then you can tell an agent how to use a tool, how to use Vercel, how to use Google Cloud Services, how to use like a research tool, how to use a code review template in Markdown. And so like the skill is specifically about the tool, as I like the school I'm in, and the agent is about the behavior. And so the agent can grab tools, agent has read-write permissions, agent is a front-end specialist, the agent's a back-end specialist, a security specialist. So what does it need to know specifically, right? That's good priming because you're going to inject that agent file at the top of your context window.
Yeah.
And then you're going to inject these skill files for that agent. And you try to keep each fairly light each. And that became, there's a real interesting opportunity here. And that framed SkillSmith.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually definitely got to give that a try because that's very high value to like what I'm trying to work on the side right now. So for context, I'm working on this side project called pencad.com where you're basically TLDR, you're generating children's books with AI. But obviously there's a lot of human element and human touch to it. So like the idea here is like as a parent, if you want to give your kid a little Christmas present, right? But you don't know how to publish and obviously illustrate everything yourself. Well, you can leverage all these agents to do it for you. But then using SkillSmith will definitely help with this whole thing, with introducing obviously like the skill itself, how to do it properly, but then having each individual agent also have its own individual skill itself as well, so that you conserve that context window for every different agent.
Yes.
So I think, and then again, I think like a lot of AI native B2B SaaS solutions right now in today's market haven't fully leveraged the idea of skills as much as we really should. They're still pumping through like all these context tokens in all the context windows.
Yeah.
So
they can really tell like what month they started using their platform.
Yeah.
Like I can really tell when someone starts talking to me, they started using Claude Code in November or like last September or like May of 2025 when it came out. Like you can, just depending on someone's mental model and the words you're using and the problems that they're facing, like you can tell when someone started.
Yeah.
Because I think there's about a 3 to 6 month ramp up. And then around the 12-month part, people start to talk about the agent harness.
Yeah.
Like testing harnesses.
Yeah.
And what's in them and how they're configured. And very quickly you end up configuring your skills to make the software and the skills that may be in the software itself.
Right.
So there's the AI in the product and there's
Yeah.
AI to build the product. And so then we can like very quickly get specific. And so SkillSmith has both a set of author tools and a set of user tools. So as like a consumer of skills, I can just have the MCP running. It can see my repository and then recommend which skills are available for my tools. And so that's like on delivery recommendation system. The other part as an author is I need a changelog. I need to keep it like thin and light. There's like a thin dispatcher model. I can like have it refactor the skill for me.
Yeah.
So it runs fast and burns these tokens with the best bang.
Yeah.
And I just recently added version control for skills.
Yeah.
And
Which
so,
is actually, I think is much more important than people realize.
Yeah.
For version control.
If you're familiar with building software, it gets really obvious that, oh, there's like a version bump. Like there's another version of Vercel or Supabase or
100%.
whatever. And then, okay, like, can I just bump it right away? Well, like maybe, but like maybe if you bump it and there's some other dependency that can't go with it, you can't. And something's going to break maybe silently. And so you want to be able to see the dependency graph. If I change this one thing, can I pull something else along with it?
Right.
And so like the version control system in SkillSmith sees the dependency graph. I bumped my GCS dependency, but it was like linked to something else, like a Kubernetes.
Right.
And can I bump my Kubernetes skill with my GCS skill?
And
that's
makes
like
total sense.
Software.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that aspect, especially with a lot of product builders who don't have that fundamental software knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Well, they'll learn the hard way usually if they don't have the understanding of version control. Because they're going to be like, well, why isn't this working all of a sudden? Because I've like decided to do this upgrade. Well, this other dependency or component that you had just doesn't work with this upgrade, right? And
we see it when we like upgrade our Mac or our PC and like the OS changed. Now suddenly something else doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's that.
100%.
Right? It's a dependency. You're using Miro on your laptop. Something's not working. It's a dependency often.
I think one thing that's hilarious is like myself included, when we're building all these side projects and products now, like end-to-end full stack products with Claude Code, is when we do these library upgrades, well, I think maybe almost like half the time, like the local host doesn't load because like there's a dependency that's just not working anymore.
Right.
Build fails. I'm like really confused why the build fails. You run it through AI, you're wasting maybe like an hour debugging why the build fails. So I think version control definitely is like super big, 100%. So before we continue, I just wanted to quickly give a big shout out to what you've been working on. So what's the repository name of the SkillSmith? I definitely want to link that in the description.
I think it's Smith-Horn is the company, and then it's SkillSmith.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll find that, and we can just find that in the description.
And then for all like the humans, it's just skillsmith.app.
For all the humans. You're already prepping for AI agents to just scrape all your information.
It's all OpenClaw or whatever Claw ready.
Yeah.
It's the whole website has like markdown and like 4 LLMs. So there's like the human readable that you see on a website plus all the agent readable. Yeah. And then same on GitHub that it's all set up so that an agent can find that GitHub repo and read it all.
Yeah.
So that like the humans don't even need to be involved.
You know, this is a little bit of an aside, but like I got a Mac Mini myself over the last few weeks because I wanted to host my own little mini OpenClaw just for personal life and for PM Hive related stuff, just to try to see what I can automate. Ironically, I'm actually kind of having a hard time finding valuable high impact use cases for myself. And I think it's just probably because I already have like Claude agents just like looking at having access to Drive, having access to like other things to help automate some things for me already.
Yes.
Do you have like OpenClaw yourself set up first?
I'm into this spicy conversation. I am not into OpenClaw at all because I can just build the thing.
Oh, that's true. You can just build it yourself.
Whatever it is. I know how to do all those things. The cron jobs, the emails, the SMS texts. Like if I have a use case, I just make it. I don't need OpenClaw as the underlying layer to do it for me. If I want cloud services, I can put it on the cloud. And so like I disagree fundamentally with Peter's whole approach. Like I'm in the like anti Clawbot camp. I don't want to ever give an agent unharnessed my like credit card or email address.
This is the next step
or
I want
Bitcoin,
to get to. Yeah.
Or anything. Zero. And it's partly like I know too much that it doesn't have any judgment. None. If it wants to walk out in front of a street and get hit by a car, it will, because it's just going to get respawned and walk across the street again. Zero judgment. Whereas for me, like, I care, and I can write the software to do the job with constraints and harness around it. Yeah. And if it fails, it's like not going to fail silently, because I'm like pedantic with like my code and like, how might this fail and all the edge cases. So then it can just like run. And if there's any error, I get like a notification. So like for me, like, I write the software. I don't want to just put it onto someone else's code, like OpenClaw.
You know, like, I think to your point, I'm very curious as to, like, as product development with Claude Code becomes a true thing that people, like, it's a skill set that people really start developing after they take your course, they probably start realizing that, like, I think OpenClaw isn't for everyone. And then they can just, to your point, they can just build the agent skills themselves and just run it themselves, right?
I have
an isolated environment.
Physical reaction against like Twitter hype. And I felt it the moment I saw OpenClaw. I started to dig into it. I saw the security risks and like no guardrails. And I was like, not for me. And like, I know all the people, all the friends buying their Mac Minis, setting it up, doing it, because it's like in the hype. And I would love to be that like sales guy at Apple, just watching the cash register ring, right? Like Apple is killing because of this moment.
Completely sold out too.
And then there's like a bunch of other, like, I've seen like a nano claw project and another secure claw, and a bunch of people like building the harness around the tools so that it can run independently, like on, like effectively, like with a bunch of skills, like instructions and guardrails and everything. So yeah, there's just like I find that one a really spicy topic, because I don't want that.
So I'm super open-minded about this topic, simply like, and not to obviously say that like it's not going to be spicy for sure, because I'm really intrigued by this whole revolution of OpenClaw. And the reason why is because, like, fundamentally, when I talk to a lot of security people, so I have a friend, Sarm, he runs the cybersecurity community here in Vancouver. Whenever I talk to folks in his community, well, like, it's a very, very strong proposition for those who don't realize that there's a lot of security risks with just running OpenClaw with no guardrails and no protocols, because it's a non-isolated environment. Your agents, if you develop them themselves, well, they are in isolated environments where at least it's under your control, right? So I think I'm starting to realize, like, if you just fundamentally gain the knowledge via various different courses like yourself, with other things, and you start understanding the importance of isolating these agents such that the data that they access is isolated and it's protected, then it's much more easy to understand that maybe OpenClaw isn't really necessarily right for you, right?
Here's an example. My wife and I were talking about like things to do with our 4-year-old. And sometimes we hit like Friday or Saturday morning. It's like, oh no, we haven't planned anything. What are we going to do on Saturday? And if you don't get like tickets or plan in advance, or like go to the Roundhouse Community Center at like 9 a.m. or whatever it is, you're cooked. And so for a parent with a kid, you have a really small window in the week to plan. And whenever like some ticket comes up, you kind of got to like jump on it. And for like swim lessons, soccer, like all the activities, really tight windows. And it's like buying a concert ticket like every week. You know, like you want to see a show, like you got to be like,
that's a fantastic use case.
Right? So yeah, buying a concert ticket, having a kid, very similar. And like, I was like, okay, wait a minute. Like this would be something cool for OpenClaw. I could just have it like monitor activities, profile, like go out 100%. And like whatever. And I was like, no, wait a minute. Let me just build the architecture plan. Let me research it. I had like a research case markdown file, like on my desktop, right? Like Claude desktop, just started to get research. I put Claude in a mode to like ask me questions, interview me. I created a little skill just for like user experience research. And so then I was the user. I gave it to my wife. She answered all the questions. I had 2 user interviews. Broke it all out like Teresa Torres style, continuous discovery, opportunity solution tree. Then I had like product research. And then an architecture plan, and then an implementation plan, and then a bunch of linear tickets. And then I built it over like 2 hours.
Wow.
No OpenClaw. It's on Vercel. And it just runs.
Yeah, you don't have to spend $2,000 on a Mac Mini. With all this.
It cost me $0. And I have Haiku running on it. and that'll cost me about $1 a month.
Oh, Haiku's relatively cheap compared to the other stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
And so it is built by AI and has AI in it, and it just like runs on the cloud and it does specific jobs. And then it can like write me an email daily if something pops that's like got a 24-hour window,
Yeah.
or weekly for like a newsletter summary for activities for my kid in Vancouver with a certain profile.
Without having to disclose any proprietary information related to like your family or anything like that, right?
Nothing.
That's perfect.
Very easy from as a product builder with an understanding of the workflow, using software development lifecycle, research to deployment. Then it's like, oh, I'll just make one. And then I own the software. I have all the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
If anything goes wrong, I can fix it.
Right.
So then it's like Radio Shack kid. Right? I can just play with the parts and get it to work without it being a black box.
Right.
And that's like such a great opportunity right now as a builder. No black box. Own all the wires. It's so good.
I have like this really open-ended question for you.
Sure.
Actually, I think I had a few friends told them that you were coming onto the pod, and they was like, I definitely had to prepare this question for you. But the question is, like, do you have kind of like any insight into like how, I guess you could say like almost like just like a swept in terms of everyone getting to understand more about Claude Code and not just Claude Code, but any AI vibe coding or any AI tool that allows them to just build products nowadays, either to solve fundamental personal use cases or stuff that they're trying to solve for their companies, right? Like the more I think people have this in their skill set, I think there's like almost a fundamental change in the way that people do things. And perhaps some of the time that they spent trying to figure this out, now that can be done through their AI tools that they work, especially if they take your course, right? Like where would they go? And maybe perhaps it's time for them to spend it on other things that perhaps AI can't like automate just yet.
Right. So much there. Can you maybe like rephrase it?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess my question, if I revise it, would be like, do you have any insight into the future once people do start really like holistically adopting AI tooling a little bit more in their daily lives, especially with like building side projects for different use cases, even non-technical people doing that now, especially after they take your course and whatnot, and all that?
I have 3 ideas. Let me see if I can filter them or rank them. 1 is kind of fun. 2 is like more of a pattern. And then 3 is maybe where we're headed. And so a current state, my wife's in HR. She's a head of HR at a big company. They have Copilot. And I was like, oh, that's too bad. But it was actually pretty amazing seeing her use it is there is a panel where you can create your own agent and define it, what it does. Yeah. It's a little limited. It's not like what I see when I've got like VS Code up and like I can configure all my agents and see all the markdown, and like I'm at the character level, and she's at like opening a Microsoft product and has a panel on the right hand side with like limited options, but she's been able to make a bunch of agents that she can use in her job. And then they had like a little hackathon with like the leadership in HR at this company, and they were all building their own agents. I was like, that's cool. They're figuring out the use case. They're walking it through. They have an interface that's easy to use. It's in the existing software. They don't need to download anything different. They don't need to configure it. They don't need to deal with API keys. It just works. And they're getting stuff done that's like exciting and meaningful. 2, this is potentially moving us towards like software on demand versus SaaS. People don't really see like the real patterns. They're watching in the stock market. They're like selling off Figma. I'm like, that's probably the wrong choice to sell off. There's a lot of value in the middleware and the places where work is being done. Microsoft being one of them, Google being one of them, Figma being one of them.
For sure.
CoreWeave, like there's a whole bunch of middleware where the data has to live and jobs can be done that are like not automatable jobs.
Right, for sure.
Like humans need to think through and then delegate, but they're not like the project management tickets. Right. 100%. You need Jira or Linear for like owning like the records. But the like parts of the task, like the Scrum rituals or whatever, is dead. So it's very uneven and hard to predict, but we're moving towards a software on demand world for many use cases. And certain parts of SaaS are going to be more valuable as the record keepers. And so there's that. And then
and data is important there, record keeping.
Yeah, like you can't do the work unless it's hosted, structured, has rules.
Yeah.
It's like bounded. All the stuff that we said about like OpenClaw, like the inverse of that. It's like you're in Microsoft. Certain tools are able to auth into other Microsoft tools.
Yeah.
You don't have read-write permissions into everything.
Right.
And so all that like identity and access management is included as part of being on one of these platforms. Amazon, AWS, like et cetera. Like they all include that layer.
Right.
And I think that layer is going to be more valuable than ever. It was valuable that like you're in a job, you can have an email address, you can access these tools.
Right.
Like identity access management or 1Password. I think they're more valuable now.
100%, I think. I almost like, I don't know if this is maybe a little bit adjacent to what you're describing, but like I'm foreseeing a lot of these record keeping platforms are like almost middleware application platforms where at the application layer where they keep all the data and the structures, right, to your point, such that the agents can go and do their thing and perfect it, is going to be super valuable because you need a place for you to be able to do that.
Yes. Yeah. It has to live and be secure somewhere and structured. The third one is super intelligence. And I think this is like the like the high upside of AI versus social media. Yeah. Social media, we had brain rot and just like dopamine and like sore thumbs.
Don't even get me started about that. I have like a whole spiel about that.
We've got like, what is it? 17 years of social media. And I love like Andrew Haight's work around anxious generation and his like latest, like all the research, super clear. Social media, generally bad for our brains. Like intent was connection, actual results was like social harm, especially for kids. I think with AI, we have a bit of like an amplifier. And the amplifier isn't like generally bad. I think it's like you take your critical reasoning and multiply it by 100 or 10,000. And if you want to use it for harm, you can multiply that harm by 10 or 10,000. And so it just has a massive amplifier effect. And so now we're into a situation where the operators have ability to manifest.
Right.
What do you want to create in the world? You can.
100%. And you're already almost kind of, I might be digressing here, but like you're already seeing a lot of that in Reels and in social media content today, where a lot of this stuff is amplifying the brain rot and consumption and the content that we're consuming, even like for those in the Gen Z and Gen Alpha space, like what they're consuming, especially AI content or AI overhyped AI stuff is just going to completely like go out of control.
Yes.
And I wonder if there's like, it's opening up a market to control that. Who knows? Maybe that might be the case.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of a side note, but I've been writing like this self-help book over the last like year and a half, and I'd love to give you a copy once it's published this spring.
Cool.
About career anxiety. So one of the components there is just relatively, there's a lot of anti-social media stuff on there where I talk about, because I've interviewed like a lot of people about this, about how social media, like I'm interviewing those way older than those who are Facebook is usually targeting for social engineering ads. But people obviously realize that attention spans are going down.
Yes.
Brain rot is obviously going up. Overconsumption is going up because the attention span economy now has gone full bloom.
Right.
So like how do you control that and how do you gain some of that time back for yourself so that you can actually focus on stuff that's really skill development? Anyways, digressed a little bit, but just hopefully that kind of resonates
I deleted
with you there.
most of my accounts a couple of years ago. TikTok, Snap, Instagram, Facebook. Only recently have I gone back onto Twitter for like Boris Cherney and Andrei Karpathy.
Yeah.
So like there's a couple things I'm back in that cesspool and I wish I didn't. And now that I say that out loud, I just want to commit to myself to like writing a little integration so that I can only get what I want and never actually go into the app.
That's actually something I'm going to probably take a look at SkillSmith for that, because like I kind of want to build like a small little agent that will actually just be able to filter all that stuff out, all the noise out.
Yeah.
Whether it's like just Instagram Reels, the content, or the Twitter Reels or the Twitter content that I'm kind of consuming, because I do try to use tech Twitter for higher value than not, for like keeping up to date with what people are working on, but it does get a little bit noisy in there. 100%.
Whereas say like Reddit, I'm far more interested in now, and I'm finding really good high quality subreddits, and then Substack.
Substack,
Amazing.
Reddit, for sure.
Very human.
Very human.
And like when I'm reading people's comments and chats, it looks like they're typos, thumbs, double spaces, like all the funny stuff from like being on your phone and typing.
Yeah.
Whereas as soon as it looks too like, it just looks manufactured. It looks like processed food in Twitter, X. And it just makes me like cringe. Whereas when I'm on
That's a nice
Substack, I'm
analogy.
like, oh, I can really feel
It's organic.
Yeah. And it's a little slower. And so I really like that. Like A, either the chat part, or B, reading long form content again and getting my attention span long again.
This might just be me, and I don't know if this will align with you, but like I feel like when I consume that type of content through Substack, Medium, Reddit, especially Reddit as well for me, and other communities that aren't pouring in billions of dollars for social engineering your consumption, I tend to retain information a little bit more easily. And I block out some of the noise that I see otherwise on like social media.
Yeah. Beautiful. Isn't that nice? Like humans can tell such nice stories, and like imagery and videos, and just like narrating or having it like on voice mode, and you get like a good voice mode. It's like, I'm really into this book.
Yeah.
And then you like, when it's like, if it's short, it's like, oh, that was so good. I want more. You know, I do that all the time with like Spotify podcasts. It's like, it's so enjoyable, like emotionally positive.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I only got one more question for you left before we wrap it up. So I appreciate the time that you put in for all this content here today. That I guess, like, you know, that this is a side, but I hope this podcast kind of falls into that first bucket as well in terms of like good content, healthier content for people to consume from our community. My only last question here, and maybe this might be something I edit back to like the beginning of the podcast, because I feel like I probably should have asked you more in the beginning. So if I don't end up doing that, I apologize in advance to the viewers, but just can you quickly walk through, for anyone who is interested in, I guess, like AI related product management, and how AI can really help them in their product management journey, whether they're an aspiring PM, in which case maybe half of PM Hive is like that, or they are PMs already, like maybe 3 to 5 years, they've worked in FANG, they've worked in maybe like a Series A, maybe they're in a startup. Do you have any kind of advice on like why AI is important to really adopt for them today, and like where that kind of goes?
We have a piece on this in our course, and here it is. Up until 2024, it would have required 10,000 hours to master a skill. And with today's AI, especially if you're into like Codex, Claude Code, etc., and you're using a modern model, I think you can compress that to 3 to 6 months. And so it's about a 10x. It's around, say if it was 10,000 hours, now it's around 1,000 hours.
Right.
Is like 6 months. And so that's very attractive for anyone early career who is unencumbered and has more time. Like as soon as you have like kids, or you're like, you know, in an executive role managing a company, your like number of hours available for learning is quite small, and you have to be quite strategic. You know, of all the things, what's like the one I can do this week? Whereas if you're early career, now you can compose, what's the end goal? What does the desired future look like? Backcast, you know, break it all apart.
Yeah.
Ask an agent to help you do that.
Yeah.
Create a personalized plan. Don't use a chat, use a project. So if you're in Claude Desktop, set up a project, have a folder just for like personal learning.
Yeah.
You know, construct your like vision narrative, use a vision board tool, like whatever it is, Post-it notes, I don't care. Just lay it out and get help with crystallizing that vision and what the desired state looks like, feels like, and like certain details or examples of what that's going to be like. What, like you got to like I don't want to say a PRD, but you want that like level of detail that you can truly measure when you've achieved success.
Right. And
then similarly, like you can flip it to like failure mode. So you can have like anti-patterns and like the desired pattern. So find a resource, do the vision, break it out, backcast it into like 6 month and like 1 month and 1 week sprints. And now it's like modular. It's like, no, it's like week 12 of the year and week 13, week 14, week 15. What does that look like to the plan? And then you can just keep going back to the project with a personal learning plan. and master things in compressed time. And so I just want to like close this with a personal example that it took me like, I want to say almost 30 years to like go across like 4 or 5 domains and feel like I'm an expert in a couple fields.
Right.
I can, with self-worth and like assurance and like citations, say that to be true. And when I was younger, I always felt like, oh my God, like it's like so many ladders to climb. I get up a hill and there's like 10 more hills. I'm exhausted.
For sure.
And I don't know which bets to make given the limited amount of data I have. It actually gets easier as you get older to be like, oh, I'm taking this bet for sure.
Right.
When you're younger, you have less priors.
Yeah.
Then go, oh, okay, like this is the hill I'm going to climb. And so you can scenario plan each of those with AI in hours.
100%.
And we couldn't do that before at any time in the future.
You can't. You know what's funny is like I think a lot of career anxiety, like at least pertaining to the book I'm writing here, is that like back to your point, like back in the day, you didn't have the insights and the data to back up the bets, and because all these bets looked so vague and gray, it creates ambiguity, and obviously with ambiguity comes anxiety.
Yeah.
So at least getting that clarity.
Yeah, we have pattern machines now. Like AI can extract patterns from all of human knowledge. Before we just had the internet, so you had to go search for it and put it together yourself. So we have like, that was linear, and like the world's knowledge was available in the palm of our hands up until 2024. And then now all the patterns of that knowledge are also available. So you can scenario plan at speed and at scale. So for anyone early career, I would be like creating a project, laying it out, desired future, working it back and having all the patterns and be like, oh yeah, I've got like, now it's really obvious what my plan is.
Right.
Because I've like laid out 10 of them and now I can rank them or have Claude rank them.
Yeah, 100%.
For me and how I feel and what I'm trying to achieve and what success looks like for me.
Yeah.
Rank these 10 plans and like give me a better one.
Right, 100%. And I think the important piece there is especially with the pattern recognition, with a lot of these AI agents being able to do that, as opposed to like just having all the data laid out flat to you and you still having to like make and derive insights out of it yourself. And now you have all these patterns that help you make the decision-making process a little bit more straightforward and easier.
To loop it back to where we started, and sorry if this is at the beginning. But then go socialize it. Humans are really good at judgment. You know, like a human will know not to cross the street when there's a red light. An LM doesn't. So whatever you get in terms of like a document, go socialize it and get other humans to help you with like judgment and questioning it for like your well-being, independent of the logic, because the logic can be very good and the like what's appropriate for you might not be embedded.
I got a quick bonus question actually now to your point. Did you have access to a lot of this stuff back when you were at Shopify in Delphia, or you were still going down the manuals?
That was all pre-GPT. And so it was more machine learning, deep learning, computer vision. And we built like our own training data sets. We didn't use TensorFlow or WebKit or ARKit. Like we built all of our own libraries in 2014, 15, 16. And by about 2017, it was like convolutional neural nets and deep learning that we built on AWS with a whole image pipeline. And so it was different in terms of what the interface was. Yeah.
100%.
Same math, statistics.
Just probably
like
took
going
longer,
through
right?
layers and like doing all that recursive learning.
Right.
And then having a model that like we built. So it'd be like the equivalent of being like, oh, I just built GPT 3.5. That's what we built for a use case.
Right. But I'm assuming it probably did take relatively longer and all that stuff to get a lot of these computations complete.
Years.
Yeah.
Or I think when we did have fresh data and then we wanted to like bump the model version, that would be like 6 to 8 weeks.
Makes total sense.
So it was quite expensive and just time intensive.
So I'm going to quickly wrap up this pod, but definitely number one, appreciate the time and energy that you spent today with us. And then number two, I think based on the conversation we've had, a lot of our viewers definitely check out Ryan's course. I believe it's on Maven, right?
Maven, and Northeastern here in Vancouver is on Luma.
Awesome. Link both in those in the description. One small little tidbit is like we are PM Hive. We're brainstorming like a 1-day Claude Code workshop for some of the PMs. Would love to partner with you to do that.
Happy to.
Yeah, and get some more insight out of you and all that stuff. We got a few mentors who are interested in that stuff space too. But yeah, we'll share more details with that as that time comes. It's probably going to be sometime early summer or maybe like midsummer-ish. We'll see.
Nice.
But until then, check out Ryan's courses and whatnot and follow the both of us. And yeah, appreciate all the time today.
Thank you, Kasey.